When I
Good morning and welcome to Coffee and Conversations, a discussion with leading influencers, policymakers, and thought leaders shaping the economic future of the Bronx, New York City. Today, we are welcoming Marlene Cintron, the Regional Administrator for the United States Small Business Administration, and Peter Fennell of the New York District Branch Office for the United States Small Business Administration. The program will begin in approximately 2 minutes.
Boy, did you learn a lot, Michael, during COVID.
More than I'm happy to know.
You sound like a regular TV announcer. I'm impressed.
There's a future for me yet, Marlene.
Yeah, I think so. In whatever you want. Actually, I need you to call me after I speak to Lisa as well. So
Absolutely, I'm down for it.
in fact, what I will say is you both should send me your resumes. We have a number of committees that are considered White House appointments in the area of small business. And there's at least 3 committees that are looking for people like us
Awesome.
on the committees, and they go they extend beyond I think they're 4-year appointments at this particular point. So it looks good on your resumes to put it in, and at the same time you do a service to us.
To God and country, I love it.
Yes, exactly. Fantastic.
Awesome.
I'm glad you thought of it, Michael.
I love you, Marlene. Good morning, everyone. We'll be beginning the program in approximately 1 minute. Welcome to Coffee and Conversations, led by the Bronx Chamber of Commerce, a discussion with leading influencers, policymakers, and thought leaders shaping the economic future of the Bronx. Again, the program will begin in approximately 1 minute. Thank you.
Peter, your title again? I'm sorry.
I'm the Supervisory Economic Development Specialist. I just lead the economic development team.
For the New York City SBA office.
Yes. I actually have 2 titles. It's interesting.
Which are the 2?
The other one's the Assistant District Director of Economic Development. Sounds nicer.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to begin. Good morning, everyone, and good morning to our friends who are joining us today on Zoom and those who are tapped into us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We are continuing the Coffee and Conversation series by the Bronx Chamber of Commerce, a discussion with leading influencers, policymakers, and thought leaders shaping the economic future of the Bronx. Today, we are delighted to be joined by friends from the United States Small Business Administration. And without further ado, I'd like to kick it over to Lisa Soren, the President of the Chamber of Commerce, to give welcoming remarks. Lisa?
Good morning, one and all. Thank you, Michael. So I'm loving this coffee and conversation because we're bringing all this great information to our members and the general public, and especially today, because Marlene Cintron holds a huge part of my heart as a leader when you were here in the Bronx, leading the BOEDC, both as a friend and a mentor. So I appreciate the fact that now you are here representing the you're the regional administrator for the United States Small Business Administration. And I'm thrilled to have you here. Peter, we just met, but you are the Assistant District Director for Economic Development. Did I get that right?
Yes.
So today's really a conversation on a bigger level for our small businesses, the opportunities, and some more education on what SBA has to offer and in support of our small business. And I want to especially thank Michael Brady, who has put this whole thing together in support of what we do here for our Bronx businesses. So I will turn it over. Marlene and Peter, thank you for joining us today.
Awesome. And Marlene, just before we jump in, I just want to do a couple housekeeping details just for the folks who are joining us. All of the questions will be addressed during the Q&A portion. So if you would just not mind putting them into the chat box, and we'll have our team members monitoring those as well. Similarly, for the folks who are joining us on our social media platforms, please put them in the chat box or DM us if you have any questions. And if all else fails, please feel free to email myself or Lisa, and we'll make sure we bring those questions to the floor. So just really quickly, a bit about Marlene Cintron. As Lisa had said, Marlene holds a very special place in the heart of Bronxites and New York City. Marlene was the former president of the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation. However, in 2001, Marlene was appointed by President Biden to be the regional administrator for the Atlantic Region 2 for the United States Small Business Administration.
2021.
Sorry, 2021. Marlene, that is the White House's gain and the Bronx's loss, but we are so grateful that you're joining us today. Prior to Marlene's appointment as the Region 2 administrator, whereby she oversees New York, New Jersey, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Marlene has a storied career of influence, first having worked for Congressman Robert Garcia, Mayor David Dinkins, Governor Pedro Rosello of Puerto Rico, New York State Senator Ruben Diaz Sr. And then in 2010, she was named president of the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation and the Business Initiative Corporation of New York, where she utilized her position to dramatically reduce the unemployment rate in the Bronx with a strong counterpart in Borough Hall, Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr., and also was responsible for developing a framework which provided hundreds of millions of dollars into the borough of the Bronx during her tenure. So without further ado, Marlene, take the floor, it's yours.
Good morning. It wasn't hundreds of millions. It was 9 billion, more than $9 billion.
9 billion. I've got to get my cue cards ready.
In private equity, we're not even counting the money that we got from the state to redo the train stations or do the highway near Hunts Point. So we did a great job. And as I looked to see what it was that I wanted to do after that, I knew that I wanted to continue to help the Bronx, help the city of New York. This is my home. And I understood that if there was an opportunity to work with a deeper pocket, it had to be the federal government. And so certainly I am deeply honored, and I thank Lisa and you, Michael, for the opportunity to join the Bronx Chamber of Commerce. Your event last Friday, Lisa and Michael, was such a grand slam. It was really a beautiful, well done event. Didn't stay for the dancing, but it was okay. I want to say that I have been honored to have been appointed by the Biden White House to this position as regional economic development. It gave me an opportunity to continue to do for my region what we did collectively, because Lisa and Michael have been an integral part of what happened in the Bronx. And so certainly I ended up working with a president who has made economic development a priority. First thing that he did was that he made sure that there were vaccines that were actually created, made available to everyone and anyone who wanted to have them. And that in return gave us the opportunity to reopen our businesses in a very safe manner. At this particular point, even if you have the New York Times COVID tracker on your phone like I do, it continues to show a national, state, and local negatives in terms of positivity rates, hospitalizations, and mortality. So that is the biggest thing that he could have done for small businesses. But on top of that, in the last 2 years, you need to know that he added to the economy another $450 billion to small businesses, to 6 million small businesses across the nation, by providing PPP and EIDL loans to our community. if you will remember, Michael and Lisa, because we were very frustrated during the first round under the Trump administration, our small businesses could not have access to the PPP because the big banks were taking care of their big boys, and that left us out in the cold. And it took this president, you know, the new president, to decide, no, we're gonna stand down. We're gonna give the small institutions, financial institutions, you know, a number of weeks to open up the window just for their clientele, for their small businesses. And that's when we were able to come in. But know this, SBA before COVID was not well known. We were very, 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 very small. We were the best kept secret. You know, if you knew about us, you did well in terms of loans, in terms of servicing, in terms of mentoring. And now we are serving over 4 million brand new clients across the nation. So we're delighted about that. Know also that since the president came into office, he signed the largest infrastructure bill since Eisenhower. He just passed the IRA bill, the Inflation Reduction Act bill, that covers a myriad of things. But for small businesses in particular, it's important to note that small businesses now have much more access to below market rate health plans for themselves and their small businesses. And just as importantly for our communities, where, as you know, the Bronx in particular has the highest incidence of asthma and is the sickest one out of all of the counties in the state. Insulin has now been capped at $30 a month. And for our community that normally pays somewhere between $1,000 and $1,200 to stay alive a month, that will be extremely, extremely helpful. The infrastructure bill is important, and I bring it up here simply because I want your small businesses to participate in the trillions of dollars that are coming down the pike. A lot of it is coming directly to the small businesses, to contractors and subcontractors. A lot of it is going through the state, but certainly it is. I want to continue the economic engine here in the Bronx, and know that for every dollar that is spent here in the borough, it turns into $7 for the rest of the community. So we want to kind of demystify and show you that we're not a big puzzle, that we are extremely accessible, that it's easy to reach out to us, that we have created a process where everything is very, very transparent, and we answer phones. Well, but it's easier if we answer emails. There is a piece of that pie available for every single one of you. And what I've done today is ask Peter Fennell, who works with the New York District Office, to, you know, provide a small 20-minute PowerPoint presentation and film, so that you can get a general broad idea. And then we're going to come back and we're going to answer your questions. I may hit a couple of the bigger programs towards the back for some of the companies that are looking for other unique things that may not necessarily be for lending, but certainly what I want our small businesses to do, which is to contract with the federal government. And the federal government is doing just that. The president has asked us to invite many more small businesses to do business with the federal government. And that's a check that will never bounce. Those orders can be quite lucrative if they take you on and you're certified as an 8A individual, and they adopt you for about 8 years. We're talking about millions of dollars that your companies will make during that period of time. And so,
absolutely.
Peter,
we have some success stories like Sam Bonk Uniforms in Port Morris, which is a
yes,
military contract. They make millions of dollars from the federal government. So
yes,
the proof is in the pudding.
exactly. We need to replicate Sam Bonk, and I know him well, and I'm delighted that he's still with us. So, Peter, you're on.
Peter, we've got you muted.
You're muted.
Thank you. Hi, good morning. I'm Peter Fennell with the United States Small Business Administration. Wait a second, share sound. Okay, I'm clicking on it, setting up everything so I can share. Hopefully you can see my screen and you're good to go at this point. Okay, so with that, I'm Peter Fennell with the United States Small Business Administration. I work out of the New York District office and going to begin today with a little clip of the SBA here.
An idea, a concept, a plan, a dream. That's how businesses start. With the help of the U.S. Small Business Administration, businesses transform from a home office to a global operation, a double oven setup to a 6-person bakery, concept to manufacturing, and from contemplating closure to not just surviving, but thriving. That's the power of the SBA. We make small business our business by being an ally, an advocate, a mentor, a coach, an educator, a friend to ambitious and passionate entrepreneurs. And we're igniting change, sparking action, so businesses across the nation can confidently start, grow, expand, and recover. SBA, empowering small businesses, empowering the American dream.
Okay, great. So with that, the SBA works to ignite change and spark action so small businesses can confidently start, grow, expand, recover. Now, what's important here is that our resource partner network, increasing your confidence and business smarts through working with our SBA resource partner network. This is key for you. I'm going to be doing an overview, and you can forget about everything I say except for the resource partner network. Why? Because the best practice to access the SBA resources which are applicable for your business is through the SBA resource partners. Now, we're working today with the Bronx Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much, Lisa and Michael, for having me on here, and Marlene. We have a small business development center in the Bronx. We have women business centers in the Bronx. Okay, they're there and they're available for you. Okay, just so you know. So our core assistance to America's small business are 3 C's, which is counseling, mentoring, capital, and government contracting. So counseling, capital, and contracting are our 3 C's, where we function there. Okay, our small business network for you to access. We have women business centers, okay, WBCs. We have small business development center, SBDCs. We have veteran business outreach center, VBOC. We have our SCORE, Service Corps of Retired Executives. Know that these resources are there available. Go to sba.gov and then look up your local resources here, local assistance. Okay, you can go to www.sba/local-assistance. Okay, this is the key for you right there, connecting with the local assistance. So these organizations are approved by the SBA and funded by the SBA. They're in all 50 states and US territories. Wherever you go, they're there to help and assist with your business. Some of the services they'll provide and assist you with is business plan development, one-on-one counseling, mentoring, pre-business plan workshop, concept assessment, feasibility analysis strategy, manufacturing, financial packaging, accessing capital, exporting, importing, disaster recovery, procurement, okay, your government contracting there, our research, and so much more. They're there to help and guide you through, and there is no charge for working with our resource partners. So this is your key to success. Now, give you a little overview, some success stories. Our Veteran Business Outreach Center, they connected with local VBOC who helped them develop a business plan, create financial projections, apply for financing, and receive an SBA back loan and open their doors. SCORE, Service Corps Retired Executives, a success story, connected with local SCORE who help them develop and scale his business idea, attend executive level trainings. If you're looking at starting a business, Okay, you need to have that experience of running a business for part of the believability with the financial institutions. So this is something that they're looking for you to develop. Building a network of business advisor. Result, open their doors and named a SCORE Small Business Champion. We have the Small Business Development Center, connected with local SBDC, who helped her access pre-business counseling, put together a loan package for financing, seek out local small business grants. Result, received an SBA 7A loan and a grant from the city, opened their business and expanded to a second location. Okay. Our Women Business Center, WBC, connected with local WBC, who helped them with pre-business counseling, get designated as a woman-owned business, connect with other small business. Result, open their doors and helping dogs and their owners live their best lives. Okay, so this is important. There are attributes of all these resource partners. You may work with several, but remember, you have to have somebody to guide you through it. So you have to have a main counselor that's going to lead you through, your quarterback through this process of pulling all this information, all these resources together. It's very important. Okay, so you can forget about everything I touch from this point on, as long as you remember to connect with the resource partners. They're there, and of course, counseling, mentoring, there is never a charge. It's free.
Peter, I just want to add there that the Small Business Development Center, where I encourage everyone to go to from the very beginning, is located at Lehman College in Bedford Park Boulevard. So it is one of the strongest small business development centers that we have in the city of New York. So I recommend it without hesitation. And you can walk in with just an idea, or you can walk in and say, I have a business plan. I need you to kind of look at it and see if I'm going in the right direction, or I already have a business and I want to get to the next level. They will know how to help you. So the Small Business Development Center, Lehman College. I'm sorry, Peter.
No, perfect. Okay, we're going to look a little bit at the SBA, how it helped you. So we have SBA back loans. We have private investors. SBA works with that in support of you. Research and development awarded funds, surety bonds. You need that for contracting. You need to be bonded for contracting if you want to get involved with that. We help that. So SBA works with approved lenders. So half the federal regulated commercial lenders in the country are SBA lending partners. Okay, and if your lender is one of them, it's a real simple process. How that would work: you would apply to your lender, and then if you're not meeting their standards, it's pushed on to an SBA, and I'll explain that in a minute. So SBA backed loans, competitive terms, lower down payments, flexible requirements, counseling and education provided. Okay, so what can you use an SBA loan for? Well, working capital, launch, grow, repair, startup, purchase inventory, equipment, anything. You can, to start the business off the ground, to purchase an existing business, real estate, anything, related to your business. The funds are there. It's great. So the local resource partners can help you. You will need believability. You need to put everything together. When you're going for a loan, you're telling them what you need. You're never asking, how much can I get? You're always going straight out and saying, this is what I need. Because just think about, you're buying a car. You're purchasing anything. You're buying a computer. You know exactly what it costs with the taxes and everything on it. This is what you're putting together. So you're going to have a business plan. You're going to have a growth plan, cash flow, your financial statements, financial projections. You're putting everything forward, and our resource partners can help you put those packets together. And quite often they know which lenders are interested in your type of business. So that's another reason why it's so wonderful to go to an SBA resource partner for that connection. Okay, a couple of our loan programs. We have the 7A loan program, our flagship, which goes to $5 million for real estate. It's up to 25 years. Equipment, your useful life, or 10 years. And then we have our express loan, which is our line of credit and goes up to $500,000. Now, right there in that, for all intents and purposes, in 17, 18, and just shy in 19, and I think again this year, excluding the main pandemic years, where the small businesses went to access capital, and the capital, and they were denied. And then this is a safety net. This is our first safety net there for businesses who are in existence already. This is there for them to access this capital. And what I mean by not meeting the standards, you go for a line of credit for $150,000. You go to your bank and you're looking at that line of credit. And of course, you have to clean it up every year, but there's a 3-year term on it. And the bank says $150,000 at 3 years, you don't meet our standards. So then what happens is then they transfer it over, because an SBA partner lender, they transfer it to their SBA department. And at their SBA department, they look at this loan and they say, okay, using the same standards for the financial institution, 150,000, but instead of 3 years, it's now a 6-year term on that, cleaning up every year. But now they say, now it meets our standards. And so we've been able to, in 17, 18, just shy in 19, and it looks like we're going to be there again this year, for 14 counties in New York, $1 billion of lending. And that's just amazing. That's financing $1 billion that these small businesses would not have received without the SBA. Okay, the next, and you need to go through your financial institution to get here. You have to be essentially turned down by your financial institution to get to the 7A and the express loan. The 504 loan is a real estate owner occupied property, and you can go straight to this loan, and this is the best loan out there. I'm understanding that many rents going up throughout the city. Many businesses are looking to relocate and things. The 504 can help you truly control your destiny. I live out in the woods a little bit, and I always see the small town. You have the supermarket, you have the bakery, the hardware store, the sporting goods store there. And you have a new owner come in, or they're doing a facelift on the facilities and stuff, and the rent goes from $2,000 to $7,000. Our bakery is gone. Our hardware store is gone. Our sporting goods store is gone. Everything's gone because they can't afford the increase. Okay. And this is why when you own your own real estate, okay, when you own your own facility, you can truly control your destiny. Now, inside of this, if you've been in business for at least 2 years and it's not a single-use facility, and think about a car wash as a single-use facility, you can get into your office space for 10% down. So you end up having 2 mortgages. The first mortgage is with your bank, and that's 50%. 40% is actually with the SBA and financed through, and all the paperwork done and everything done with our certified development company, our CDCs. Okay, 40%. And you would put 10% down. Now, the amazing part here is that 40%, it is below market rate, and there is no state or local taxes or anything assessed, because they cannot assess those on the federal government. So mortgage recording tax, anything like this is not applicable. So 40% of that loan, there's no mortgage recording tax right there. So this is just amazing. And it truly enables you to control your destiny. Now, in this format, it goes to $12.5 million. Okay. You can, of course, can be much less, can be much more. It just changes the format here. Okay. With our CDFIs, our Certified Development Financial Institutions in the New York District area, the ones that are SBA, small micro lenders, we offer the Community Advantage loans and the micro loans. Community Advantage are from $70,000 to $250,000, and the micro loans are $50,000 or less. This is our second safety net. This is quite often where the actual startup businesses get their funding through the SBA micro lenders. Okay, and they're there to help. They'll provide technical assistance. They'll help you with the financing. They'll teach you a little bit of bookkeeping. They'll help you out there in conjunction with the resource partners, and they'll work together. So these are a couple of our other loan packages and stuff. So there's basically 2 safety nets here to help your business move forward. Okay. Now you could actually go straight, skip our resource partners and go straight to the lender. We have SBA.gov lender match. It's lender match. And you just get online, you fill out a profile about your business, what you're looking for financing for, and then you hear back from some of the SBA lenders in this. So this is another route if you feel you're ready to go straight that way and bypass the resource partners. Okay, but the resource partners are there to help. Okay,
Peter,
whatever.
let me
Yes.
just add there. This morning, I actually went online to look at our website. And it's important that anybody who wants to go online and look at our products and our services actually writes in www.sba.gov and make sure that you're in our portal, because what I found was that there were two other companies, Cabbage Patch, which is a part of American Express, and some other company above ours. And so if you just put in, SBA.gov, the first one will say, oh, we give out SBA loans, and you'll end up spending a lot more money, and we don't, they may not necessarily have a relationship with us. So make sure that, because our small businesses are not as attentive, that they make sure that if they're going to go in, that they do just that. It's SBA.gov for general programs, SBA.gov/lender match if they want to get more information on the loans. I'm sorry, Peter.
Thank you very much, Marlene. That's wonderful. So any loan you're going through, they're looking at character, cash flow, collateral, capitalization conditions. No, the SBA does not require your loan to be fully collateralized. Okay. They do require what collateral you have, you're willing to pledge. That's your belief in yourself. So you don't need to fully collateralize it, but what you do have, you have to be willing to pledge with SBA lending. So that's another advantage. And there's never balloon payments or on-demand clauses or anything like that in SBA lending. Okay, just so you know here, if you're building apps, you're doing anything with technology, anything along those lines, we have the SBIR STTR, Small Business Innovation Research and Small Business Technology Transfer. And this is our only, and I repeat, only grant programs, okay, in our traditional SBA format. And we work with 11 different government agencies. Okay, and it goes through the SBA. So in the New York district office area, I saw a group decided they wanted to they got funding from the Department of Education to build an app to teach kids math. Okay, an educational app teaching math, and they received funding $1.1 million for that. So this is really research development, creating something along those lines. Annually, we have about 4,000 awards throughout the country, totaling roughly about $2.5 billion with this. So just know it's available. Okay. And if you're looking with your business to go international and looking at international trade, know that 96% of the consumers live outside of the US, 2/3 of the world's purchasing power are in foreign countries, and the SBA is ready to help and assist you with this. Okay, we provide counseling with our Small Business Development Center, helps with international trade. Okay, for your counseling, we have with the Department of Commerce, we have the U.S. Export Assistance Centers. The SBA to the state of New York and many other states does a STEP grant program, state trade expansion program. You can use this to go to foreign trade shows, to put foreign, the labels for foreign countries on your packages and goods for whatever purpose. There are many things to use this STEP grant. You would access through Empire State Global
Development, ESD.
Yeah, ESD, and this can help you tremendously. We have 3 specific loans for international trade: Export Express, working capital loans, and international trade loan. So for the international trade loan, goes to $5 million, real estate 25 years, equipment, useful life 10 years. We have our Export Express, which is a line of credit, just like the other Express I identified with you. And we have the Export Working Capital loan, which can go to $5 million, and you negotiate the term with your lender 1 to 3 years. This loan is specifically for the financing of your order, to provide for you to purchase the goods and pay your employees and stuff to put together the whatever you're delivering to meet your order. Okay, so this is that's why it's such a short term on such possibly such a large number, 1 to 3 years on that, because it's helping you meet an order that's been placed. Okay, and we have our surety bonds to help you with government contracting. If you're getting involved with government contracting, you need surety bonds. Go to our small business development centers to access surety bonding. Okay, looking at government contracting. Okay, the U.S. government is the world's largest buyer of goods and service. Okay, and so with that said, our resource partners can sit down and work with you, our small business development centers, and see if you're ready. Okay, for this. And what I want to identify, so roughly every year, the federal government spends, I know this says 500 billion, but it's 580 billion for the last 3 or 4 years. There's a goal for small businesses for federal contracting of 23%. Okay, every contract for $250,000 and less is for a small business. Okay, in that goal of 23%, we're looking at this 5% for women-owned small businesses, 5% for small disadvantaged businesses. This would match with our 8A that Marlene was speaking about earlier. 3% with our service-disabled veteran-owned small business, 3% with small business in hub zone. Hub zones are historically underutilized business zones. Typically, I always think the military, where they closed down an armory or something, and wherever they did that, all the businesses around that typically were, functioning off of the armory, that installation there. So that's automatically a hub zone to help those businesses. If your business is located in a hub zone, 35% of your employees also must live in a hub zone, but they can live in a different hub zone. They don't have to live in the same hub zone your business in. So that is, focusing on getting small business contracts. Okay, now of this 77%, the remaining, which is your large companies and everything, there's a goal of 25% spend on subcontracting with small businesses. So we're looking in total over $200 billion targeted at small businesses. Okay, so it's there. Now, what's important is it's very difficult to get in. Sometimes you get your certification, you get your stuff, you have to have past performance. Okay, it's crucial you have and develop past performance for your business. You need to have systems in place. You need to, if you receive a contract, know what your buildup time for delivering that would be. Have all that together. Know what it takes for you to produce one unit of your product or service, and that you're ready to go with that and your buildup time for that. But past performance is key. So that's very important. Now I'm just going to, for time. Now we look at disaster here. When you look at disaster, here they're identifying 25% of businesses do not reopen after a major disaster. Businesses can protect themselves, up-to-date plan of action. What is your plan of action? I'm going to tell you, as a business owner, you have to have business insurance. You need to sit down with your broker every year, make sure you're covered. You lease a new item, you purchase something new, whether it be a copy or whatever it is for your business, a new phone system, whatever, a new computers. You make sure that your broker knows that it's included in the plan. You make sure that you have the coverage you need, that you're good to go. And you make sure your broker shops it around every year, trying to reduce the cost for you, trying to make a savings there for you. But business insurance you have to spend anyways. It has to be there. Government contracting, you have to have insurance on your business. Then you also have to have the bonding, and that surety bond makes it easier. But work with that insurance broker. It is vital for your business. Okay, and
Peter,
this is how you can prepare. Yeah.
I'm gonna add also that I was ACC, and fact of the matter is that we had our people, we had huge portfolio, but it was evident to us that minority businessmen and women are the best they don't default. Their whole thing is they're so grateful they came to a country where they're supported, they're, with their businesses and the whole bit. So we always get paid. There was one business in the last 11 years who we had just lent quite a bit of money to buy his building. And less than 2 years later, unbeknownst to all of us, the city of New York decided to put down some major pipes for 2 years in front of his store. And so the Capita Avenue was blocked for 2 years. The sidewalk was blocked. The bus stop was eliminated. And he had a washing machine business. He had a kind of a wash business that, really requires people to be able to get on the sidewalk with their little shopping carts or get out of the car with their bags of laundry. And so he defaulted with us, but he's still paying off to the federal government. So one of the things that we internally said was that we are recommending, and I'm saying this to you and Lisa, is that you should recommend to all of your businesses to buy something called business interruption insurance. The cost is maybe $35 a year, but it could be worth hundreds of thousands for you, if something this crazy happens again, which it will. The city's always under construction. I'm sorry, Peter.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. Or, I'm trying to give this overview, and that helps a lot with understanding. So, with disaster, the SBA, you've all become very familiar with our Office of Disaster Assistance over the past couple years. But for, this was originally set up, you look at the traditional disasters, the hurricanes or what's going on, but for real estate, for personal property, the economic injury, as you're familiar with that, the equipment, the inventory, there's funding and support for all that there. Okay, the SBA is there to help with that. Okay, and if you ever have, I'll just mention the you have an EIDL, economic injury disaster loan, you have one of those loans, you have any SBA disaster loan along those lines that's actually with the SBA, separate from the PPP, and you have questions about that loan, you would go to an SBA disaster servicing center, Birmingham, and they're the ones who can give you your payoff, your monthly payments, when it's due, the status of things, when the forbearance ends and stuff moves forward. But the disaster loan servicing centers, okay, and I usually go to the one in Birmingham, Alabama, so you can find that on the web. But that's who's going to tell you all the information about your existing disaster loan, just so this is my information right here, my contact stuff, and I thank you very much. That was a quick overview of the SBA, and I just want to come back and say you can forget about everything I just talked about except our resource partners. You must be able to connect, because they will connect you with all these resources and more. Okay, so this is what's important, connecting to the local assistance. As Marlene mentioned, the Small Business Development Center, Lehman College, and we also have a Women Business Center there in the Bronx. So
Yes, in
thank you
Hunts Point,
so much.
right.
Yeah.
Last
Thank
thing,
you so much.
last thing I want to share with you all is, for those who are much more comfortable in Spanish, if you go to sba.gov, there is a button on the top right-hand side that you can press, and it sends you over to the Spanish language website that has been created, or they can go into SBA in Espanol .gov, which is another way to get to it. And so certainly we are all things to all people, and we are trying to ensure that we don't leave anybody out. So we're both open for questions.
Awesome. And thank you so much, Marlene, for that. We have a few questions in the chat box, but just quickly, because I know there are some folks on social media who are asking, about any industry trends that you've seen post-COVID in manufacturing or wholesale or food and distribution, or, in terms of growth sectors or sectors that are contracting as a result of COVID-19.
I don't have anything.
if anything, I think that retail is dying. I think that those 2 years that we spent buying on Amazon really has adversely impacted our small businesses. However, at the same time, those who are still standing have found alternative ways to do business with their community. They have reinforced their websites. And just know that the SBA is entering into relationships with Google and Microsoft, and you will, hear more about that in terms of training for our small businesses. And so, that's up and coming. So on the retail side, there is a challenge. But certainly if you have a good local business, people still prefer to deal with people. I certainly do. And Amazon has become ridiculously expensive. One of the things that the president and all of us experienced during COVID, and very memorable to us, was that we quickly, as we were looking for PPE, as we were looking for face masks, as we were looking for respirators, we quickly realized we don't make that stuff here anymore, because all of the companies who manufacture that stuff, has sent it either to India or to China. Okay, most of it to China. Okay, and China, well, there's challenges. First of all, China needed it for themselves because it kind of came from there. Second of all, getting it from China to the United States was a long process. And then when it got here, it became much, much, much more expensive, if it got here at all. And so the lessons learned was that we really and truly need to be better masters of our own destiny. And so what the president has decided to do within the bills that I kind of mentioned is that he has a big, big push for reshoring manufacturing here into the United States. And as a result, in those bills, there's a lot of incentives for manufacturing here in the United States. It doesn't necessarily have to be medical equipment or medical uniforms or face masks, but pharmaceuticals, we needed that here. All of these companies are being reshored, but those that actually do things here in America really should be looking at those bills and figuring out what incentives are there for them to continue to further grow and expand, because that is this administration's focus. We need our stuff in our own backyard. And so I hope I answered the question.
Right. And Marlene, just to add on to that, our resource partners are perfect to help you move forward, whatever your situation.
That's excellent. I think just selfishly, and then I'm going to punt it over to Lisa for a couple questions. Marlene, the Bronx is on firm footing, and that's largely due to your work and the work of Ruben Diaz Jr. as borough president.
And you will too.
Well,
take a little bit of credit.
We're the team. But in terms of like manufacturing upstarts, the Bronx is home to 5 industrial business zones as well as empowerment zones that can help move things along. How, if given your previous experience, how would you recommend that the Bronx Chamber or the other economic development organizations in the Bronx and New York City try to attract some of those manufacturers to give new life to those industrial business zones?
Well, before I would attract, I would look to see who's already there. Okay, because the people who are already there are already committed. And if they can expand and grow, Sam Bank, what he does, he doesn't need a bigger space. He's got, X number of employees. It works for him. But certainly there's more manufacturing there. And that was the reason why at BOEDC, I refused to allow anybody to rezone our manufacturing sectors without knowing that COVID was coming into housing, because I understood that it was a credible, needed thing, and we needed to do more of it. And in the end, I was right. But I would look to see who's there, who needs to be supported to grow more, and then look to see what companies. I would work with Kathy Wild. Okay, Kathy referred more than one international business to the Bronx. who was looking for space. Space was, space was very inexpensive when we got here. It was like $4 a square foot for empty land and $12 for a warehouse. That's not the case anymore, but certainly what we do have is an excellent workforce that's ready, willing, and able to join. And that's the hard part for a lot of businesses right now, where they find their workforce, but it's here in the Bronx. And right now, what did also retrench a lot, and we are the bedroom community for that, is restaurants and hotels. And so that has really placed the city of New York, at a disadvantage because tourism isn't back yet. And so, and chances are that when it does come back, it may not necessarily, be what it was before. So it adversely impacts our food industry, although people still have to eat, and our hotel industry, and also our office space. I'm sitting on 2 floors of office space. And on Monday, when I was in the office, there was just 2 of us there, me and my assistant. And that gets a little depressing. So,
especially during October, Halloween and all.
and they haven't quite figured out that we don't need air conditioning anymore. So that's another story. But certainly know that we should be in the mix if there is an interest on someone and you want us to be a part of it. Certainly that's something that we're more than willing to do. The other thing is that the whole issue of international trade, those businesses that, are manufacturing already, that are interested in doing business with other countries, know that ESDC has federal funds that they make available to our businesses to go to these countries, and they will finance, I think it's up to $5,000, Peter, in order to get you there and do business. And they will do all of the advanced work. They will get you the people that are needed, that you need to meet with, or you will be going to, a fair in that country that it's related to your industry, or you may get money from ESD. You may get money from ESD to enhance your website, to include other languages so that you are much more attractive to those other countries that you're interested in doing business with. So we have a lot of federal money that goes to the state, but, and ESD, knows what to do with it. But I need for you guys to know that they have it so that you can refer people over there.
Right. So a wonderful thing is you sit down with our Small Business Development Center, you develop your plan for your international trade, your exporting plan. You take it from there and you identify what countries you want to access, what makes the most sense for your business. Then we have the Commerce Department, Commercial Services, their USAC, U.S. Export Assistance Center, has a gold key program. That's typically about $800, that gold key program, but they can pre-vet, because they have in embassies all over the seas, they can pre-vet these businesses that you're looking to partner with. They can make sure that they're good, viable businesses for you to do business with. Then when that STEP grant comes in, it could pay for you going over to that foreign country, sitting down and meeting with those businesses and seeing which ones, all of them, one of them, none of them you want to do business with at the end of the day. But that's where that STEP grant can come in right there, in that, and pay for that. And end up paying for almost that whole thing, if not the whole thing. So it's just, it's there for you, and please access it.
Great, thank you so much, Peter. And then one specific question that came in the chat box from Richard was specific actually to restaurants. And, he's asking, does the federal government contract with restaurants? I know during COVID-19, there was the World Central Kitchen program, which contracted with restaurants to feed people, but is there a program that exists within the federal government contracting system that would be a little bit more geared towards the hospitality sector?
Peter,
I am not familiar with that. There is, they might look to buy coffee. I think that falls under office supplies. They may look to buy all these different things, and I think depending where you are, and if you're in DC, I think, for example, there may be things, and you might even need to be in the GS schedule to really be able to be where they could go out and they could contract, food for a special event. But for the most part, I'm not aware of anything specific along those lines.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and just know that, I mean, the Pentagon has, doesn't cook their own food, the cafeteria food, we have major buildings all over this nation. And some of them do have cafeterias. I think that that's one of the good questions that you should be asking the Small Business Development Center, especially on the procurement side. But certainly know that whatever the federal government normally needs on the widgets, I call it the widget side, is big, okay? But they also contract for people who make available tech services. There's this amazingly brilliant Indian woman in New Jersey, who provides tech services, to the federal government. And so certainly, think outside of the box, but at the same time, know that if you want to do business with the federal government and it's something related to goods versus services, that you have to have a lot of pencils or a lot of paper, that in your warehouse in order to do like big business with big government.
Right. So
Certainly don't be dissuaded.
right. So right now, Marlene, I know everything was contracted through the GSA in our building. We had a cafeteria and we had a little convenience store, but with COVID, that all shut down, and they also managed the vending machines. So in our building, we have no food or anything available to us only what we bring in. Somebody might be able to contact the GSA and say, hey, can I get in there, and reopen the cafeteria, take care of the vending machines and stuff. They're there. It could be an opportunity for somebody, but it'd be through the GSA. Thank you.
And that's General Services Administration. Again, talk to the SBDC and ask them for who the contact person is.
Awesome. And the SBDC information is in the chat box, and there's also representatives from the chamber team on the call as well that'd be happy to work with you through the Small Business Resource Network. Lisa, do you want to take over a couple questions?
No, I'm kidding. There is, let's see, EPP came to an end. This is an anonymous attendee. Seed funding grant is going to close soon. How likely are we to see a new grant come down the line? And could that be allocated to several hundred businesses here in the Bronx?
I'll take the first shot of that, and simply it's Congress, our federal government, identifying a continued need and passing another bill on that. Other than that, the SBA we have our traditional financing and support for small businesses, which is tremendous. Okay. But it's really up to our federal government, our Congress, to move something forward.
Yeah, our COVID-related assistance, on which I explained was a lot, has come to an end, but we do have the other lending programs that were already cited. I encourage you to also look at the ESD website. They receive federal funds from us. There are specific grants to restaurants through the state. Last time I looked, we understand that our restaurants are still suffering because people are not necessarily really physically back at work in the same levels as they were before. And of course, rent is higher, energy is higher, and actually the purchase of food is higher. And so there are many challenges to our restaurants. But again, speak to your member of Congress, let them know that it's still needed. We're more than willing to give you whatever we get. That's what we're in the business of. But for now, the answer is no.
Okay. There's an interesting question about research, skincare, spa research. Is this something that SBA also supports?
When you're talking about research and things, you know, if they're looking for information to support their business, our SBDCs access research librarians. They up in Albany, and they come back with tremendous information. A lot of the information from the oh, what do I from, you know, statistics that the business statistics generated from the government and stuff. They have access to everything and they pull it together. When you're talking about looking, either identifying, creating something new, and I mentioned before the SBIR, SCTR, Research and Development Grants. Okay, those government agencies, you need to get with our Small Business Development Center, look at what they are planning on doing grants for, you know, what research they want done, but also at the same time see what they've done in the past. And you can submit something not matching with necessarily what they're looking for this year, but with something that's close to what they've looked for in the past, and ideally they will say, yes, this works for us along those areas. Remember, if any of that products have anything to do with cannabis, it being the federal government, and many states have made it legal, with the federal government still illegal, there would be no support along those lines.
Give it a couple of
Okay,
years.
so
And then selfishly,
coming.
that's a
It's
good
a
one,
revenue generator, so it's coming.
without a doubt. So selfishly, I have a question myself. Does SBA in particular work with chambers of commerce? In this case, the United States Chamber of Commerce or local chambers? Because I know you have your local offices, but chambers have like the direct line to small businesses. Is there any collaboration funding that happens between both agencies?
we love to collaborate and work with chambers of commerce. We love to get out there. My team likes to do as many programs on, you know, different programs on SBA programs, services, initiatives that we have going on, provide all that information to your members and work along those lines, and do everything we can to support you and work with you and your business members there. As far as financially, that's another situation that typically doesn't happen unless there's a disaster on the financial end. It's usually just in support of, you know, identifying SBA product services initiatives to help your members, where our people will go in, connect with you, whether it be virtual or in person, and speak and present and tell everybody about what, you know, how and what we have for you.
I just want to underscore that during the COVID pandemic, we not only provided funds for our shuttered venues for our small businesses, but also the nonprofits were included in the applications for PPP. But our mission is really to support small businesses, but you are the lifeblood of our small businesses. And so I do know that we have a very strong relationship with the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. In fact, the administrator was supposed to be in, I don't know, was it Albuquerque, New Mexico this week, where they're having their annual event. And she just sent a delegate because she caught COVID. So, you know, in her effort to be all things to all people, you know, she got caught. But certainly you're a nonprofit, so there's nothing available right now, but at the same time, we want to collaborate with you more often. And at the same time, I know, Lisa, I've been sending you, you know, recently, you know, whatever comes across my desk that makes sense and could be of use to your small businesses, and I'm going to continue to do that.
I appreciate that. I would send it right out.
And Lisa, and I have on my team, I have somebody who is, you know, the Bronx is their you know, where they work, where they're working and trying to help out with the businesses. Signed I think 4 counties in our 14 counties of New York, and the Bronx is one of them. And so she is Sylvia Rivera. She is always ready and willing to jump in and help. So thank you.
She's cool.
Yeah. So I'm just having nothing to do with nothing. For some reason, a lot of the people that registered are coming up as Tanisha Hurd, and everything's coming up like my name is not Tanisha. I'm not sure, something happened with the link.
Maybe, I suspect so, and I know that Tanisha, maybe because she was bringing them on, they all came in to her.
Yeah, so we understand that there isn't everybody, but if your emails are there, we will capture them and make sure you stay in the loop with these two amazing presenters today.
I know that Maria asked for a copy of the recording. We would love to do that also, because I'd love to send it to if with your permission, to the general counsel of El Salvador, so that he has a better understanding of SBA, and then can, you know, perhaps bring you guys on to do something with them.
Would love it.
Absolutely. And then Marlene, as we come to a close, we always ask two questions to kind of close out, one on a high note and one on hopefully a more hopeful note. You know, what do you think is the #1 challenge facing the New York City and the Bronx economy? And then what are you most hopeful about for the Bronx?
I think my biggest burden since the day I headed up BOADC is still the same burden, and that is unemployment. When you have so many people not working, kids don't do well in school, our small businesses don't have the capital needed to continue to grow and enhance. And so we have to do something about that. You know, that coupled with, you know, the housing challenges. There are a lot of people out in the streets that don't belong in the streets, that don't. There are a lot of families, working families, that are in shelters because they can't afford to move into a home and provide a real home for themselves and their family and their children. And so when that happens, children don't do well in school. It's a circle. So I would couple those two. Your second question is, what am I most optimistic about?
Hopeful.
Hopeful. It's the Bronx, you know, really tough, motivated, creative residents and leaders. And when you have that kind of a combination, considering where we were, I mean, you know, I read something that I think it was, I don't know if it was Chuck Schumer who said it this morning. And he's absolutely right. And he's from Brooklyn. Oh, don't forget that. He said that in spite of the challenges in the city of New York right now, with everything that we are experiencing post-COVID, fact of the matter is that we are not where we were in the 70s. And so we have gravitated towards a better life, a better platform, a better economic development for all of the Bronx. We went from 14.2% unemployment to around 3% in February of 2020, March 2020, and then it went up to 16%. But then it quickly went down. So what I did in 10 years, you know, really came down in less than 2. We're not exactly where we need to be, but what has happened, and Peter knows this, is that during COVID, there was something called the Great Resign. And so at SBA, we ended up with 30% more people applying for business licenses than before. So know that the people who are not working in the Bronx are not necessarily not without income. These are people who have decided, I don't want to work for anybody else. If, you know, I want to be a master or mistress of my own destiny. And so that also gives me a lot of hope that more creativity, more communication, more enhancement of people's skill sets are happening. And so I am optimistic and hopeful for the Bronx, and I know that we've got nowhere to go but even higher up.
Well said.
Wonderful.
That's excellent. And then Lisa, do you have any closing remarks to finish us out?
No, I think, you know, as always, Marlene, You bring in such great information. Your partnership is critical to us here at the Chamber, me personally, and to Mike, of course. So I really thank you. And yes, we have been in contact. You send over some amazing information, which we share out with all our members. So I continue this partnership, whether you like it or not. I'll chase you down. And Peter, it's an absolute pleasure to meet you, and I look forward to continuing to work with you.
Thank you. Very nice meeting you, Lisa. Michael, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, Michael and Lisa. I look forward to even a deeper collaboration now that I know where the bathroom is in my office, you know, and I know what the heck I'm doing.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Marlene, and thank you, Peter, and thank you for everybody's work at the Small Business Administration. We are really, really grateful for it, for this information, and for other events that have to do with small business development. We invite you to visit the Chamber website, www.bronxchamber.org/events. That will give you a full rundown of everything from networking to business development workshops, how to navigate insurance, financing, you name it, it's there. If you need more one-on-one assistance, we invite you to email our Small Business Resource Network at sbrn@bronxchamber.org. That's sbrn@bronxchamber.org. And you'll be assigned a small business specialist that will work through your customized needs and help you navigate getting a hold of folks in the right offices, whether it's the SBDC or SBA or New York City Department of Small Business Services or Empire State Development. They are critically attuned to navigating government and getting the services that you need deployed. So with that being said, thank you to everyone for joining us today. Stay tuned for next week. Next week, we have Elizabeth Luskin from Empire State Development, who will be going through some of the New York State incentive programs, grants, loans, offerings for businesses. So we're excited about that. So again, Marlene, thank you so much for your friendship and for your leadership. Peter, thank you so much for all that you do for New York City. I know we're a cry from Long Island, but welcome to the city, and thank you for all of your work. And until next week, thank you, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Take care. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Pleasure.